Hey, good morning. Today is the 12th of September. It's Sunday morning. I have not done a video in my video journal for a little while. I think about it every day and just haven't gotten it done. I meant to do it the other day. I get up, I try to get up every morning and read a chapter of whatever book I'm reading. And I'm reading this Seeing Beautiful again. It's 50 devotions to find redemption in every part of your story. And a couple days ago, I was reading devotion number 14, Saved by Suffering. And this one, I want to read it to you, but this one really spoke to me, and it just reminded me, and we sometimes always need reminders of things. It just reminded me how good God is and how I have so many testimonies of God's goodness in my life. So anyway, I want to read this to you, and then I'll kind of share with you the stuff that kind of stuck out for me, if you don't mind. So, saved by suffering. The Lord is near to all who call on him, to all who call on him in truth. Psalms 145:18. I woke up on what I thought would be an ordinary Monday a few summers ago, but nothing was normal. I felt as if knives were mercilessly carving their way through my insides. I had never been in this much physical pain before. Waves of nausea left me convulsing and desperate for relief. I tried to step out of bed, but I collapsed. I screamed. My family rushed me to the emergency room where all hoped I would find some relief and help. But as panic gave way to desperation, I cried out for God to help me. Take the pain away. Please, dear God, take this pain away. But he didn't. Not that moment, not the next, not even the next day. His silence stunned me. My trust in him in those moments started to feel shaky. I kept picturing him standing behind my bed, seeing my anguish, watching my body writhing in pain, hearing my cries, but making the choice to do nothing. And I couldn't reconcile that. How could God do that? How could he say that I'm his daughter, whom he deeply loves, but let me lie there in excruciating pain? These are the thoughts and questions that tumbled around my brain during a time of such pain and distress. I think that we've all asked questions like this. Where are you, God? Do you see me? Do you care? After 5 of the longest and most excruciating days of my life, a new doctor came into my hospital room. He ran one last test, and finally we had some answers. The right side of my colon had torn away from the abdominal wall and twisted around my left side. The blood flow was completely cut off. My colon had distended from the normal 4 centimeters in diameter to more than 14 centimeters. It had been in danger of rupturing when it was around 10 centimeters, at which point I would have felt relief from that intense pain. And it's that exact time when many others suffering with this medical situation feel the relief and go to sleep. Their bodies turn septic and they die. The surgeon explained that he needed to rush me into emergency surgery, and he'd be removing most of my colon. He was hoping to save enough that my body would eventually function properly again, but he wasn't sure. He wasn't even sure I'd make it through surgery. And with the daunting news, I hugged my family, I prayed with my pastor, and I was wheeled into the surgical unit. Thankfully, the surgery went well, and weeks later I was home recovering. The surgeon called me. He'd gotten the report back from the mass that was removed, and there was no further treatment needed. However, there was an alarming part of his report he couldn't reconcile. He said, "Lisa, I don't really like how people throw around the term miracle, but honestly, it's the only word that I know how to use in your case. The cells in your colon were already in a state of autolysis. This is where your brain has signaled your body to start the process of decomposition. It's what happens when you die. Lisa, you can't get any closer to death than that. How you survived this, I can't explain. I hung up the phone, stunned, and I suddenly thought of those days before the surgery when I was begging God to take away my pain. I had questioned God because of the pain. I had wondered how God could let me be in so much pain, and I had cried because I thought God somehow didn't care about my pain. But in the end, God used the pain to save my life. The pain was what kept me in the hospital. The pain was what kept me demanding the doctors to run more tests. The pain was what made me allow a surgeon to cut my belly wide open. The pain was what helped save me. Had God taken away the pain, I would have gone home, my colon would have ruptured, my body would have turned septic, and I would have died. I now have a completely different picture of God standing beside my hospital bed while I was hurting and begging him to help me. He wasn't ignoring me. No, I believe that it took every bit of holy restraint within him to not step in and remove my pain. He loved me too much to do the very thing I was begging him to do. He knew things I didn't know. He saw the bigger picture I couldn't see. His mercy was too great. His love was too deep. Indeed, he is a good, good father. He was not far off like I'd imagined as I lay writhing in pain. He was near, so very near. Just like Psalms 145:18 tells us, the Lord is near to all those who call on him, to all who call on him in truth. He was loving me through the pain. It was necessary pain, life-saving pain, I can see now with my eyes. It's given me a whole new outlook on times when God seems silent. God's silence was a part of the rescue, and I pray today that you find the rescue even when the excruciating moments when God feels silent. When you want to pull away, I pray today you have the courage to press in because you have the perspective of God in the midst of your pain. Anyway, I read that and I thought of, situations I found myself in. For instance, I can remember that there was, actually I don't remember exactly when it was. It was October 18th, 1997. And I was at my house and it was my boyfriend's birthday, and normally we got together on birthdays. I got together on his birthday, got together on my birthday, and we always did something special. But on that day, he didn't want to get together, and we were talking on the phone, and I was upset, and there was other stuff that was going on in my life, and it was just like a very stressful, uneasy time. And I probably wasn't really the best version of myself either because I was letting so many things get to me. But on that day, we were talking and I was upset. And as I was talking to him, I started to feel very warm. And I looked at my hands, and my hand was pretty much the same color as this shirt, but maybe like a little more burgundy-ish than this. And I thought, wow, that's very strange. Both of my hands were that color. And so I got up and went to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and my face was that color too. And I was like, oh my God, I must be having an allergic reaction to something. And luckily I lived just a couple minutes, like maybe a 2-minute drive from the hospital. So I told my boyfriend something was wrong and I had to go. And I thought, I don't know what's going to happen to me. My daughter is at school. Let me call work, because I actually worked for my father, and I called my father to tell him what was going on. And he, basically said, hello, and, I can't talk to you right now. I'm really busy, and I'm getting ready to go into a meeting or something, and hung up the phone. Didn't let me get a word in. And so I called back, and I talked to one of my friends that worked there, and I was like, hey, let me tell you what's going on. I'm at the hospital because, these were the days of cell phones. So I drove to the hospital, and as I was, I think I had gotten to the hospital. I went to the hospital. I was like, hey, something's wrong. And I'm like, I'm having an allergic reaction. They're like, yeah. And they just rushed me in. And so I was calling to let people know where I was, basically before I passed out or something. So I was able to tell, my friend, hey, I'm at the hospital. I don't know what's going to happen. They just given me a shot of something. It's about to knock me out. Can you please, pick my daughter up? Have somebody pick my daughter up from school so she'll be okay. And they're like, okay. She's like, okay. And, the nurse gave me something, and I was out cold. And I woke up a few hours later, and the nurse, I felt fine. And the nurse was like, how did you get here? And I said, I just drove myself over here. I live, really close. And she's like, well, if anything like this ever happens again, don't drive yourself. Just call an ambulance, and have the ambulance come and get you. She's like, because your whole body was shutting down, like you were dying, literally. And that really threw me for a loop. And it's like I didn't panic in the situation, but after I knew that I was okay, I kind of like went into the state of panic, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't do anything, I can't work. And looking back on it now, and nobody can understand like what happened, how that happened, what I could have possibly been allergic to, because the only thing I had eaten, I think, was some like white fish, and doctors were like, yeah, we don't know of anybody being allergic to white fish. And so it was very, very strange. And so many years obviously have passed, and I can look at everything that was going on, and I felt like that happened, and that was like God's way of saying, hey, you need to stop what you're doing. You need to get out of the situation that you're in. You need to just stop, because you have so many things going on in your life, and it is causing you great distress. And if you don't stop, it's only going to get worse. And so I feel like God took me out of a bad situation. And the bad situation that I was in was really more work related than anything. I was doing things, and I was in a situation where I was like trying to be perfect, and just overdoing it, didn't have any balance in my life. And it was just negatively impacting every bit of my life. And in that situation, that was like a wake-up call from God, like, hey, I'm trying to help you out, listen to me. And so in that instance, God shook me up and made me pay attention and got me to where I needed to be, and saved my life in that moment. And so as I was reading this devotion, it just made me reflect on that. And so, yeah, it was God saving me, but it was also, God saying, listen to me, let me direct your path. And I sat and I didn't do anything, and I paused like you told me to. But then, maybe like a week or so later, I ended up going right back to what it is that I was doing. And, a couple months later, I ended up in the hospital, and it was a really bad, situation. And I ended up having to sit out for like 3 months, to restart. And so, but that's a good thing. So it's good to know that in every bad situation I find myself in, God is right there to pick me up and to see me through. And I respect the way that he does things. So I've experienced some pain, but there's always like a silver lining to everything that I go through or that I've been through, and I'm thankful. And had I not gone through these painful situations, then I would not be where I am today. And where I am today is a place of peace and contentment. And I feel better about myself, than I've ever felt before. I've got the right, I guess, boundaries in my life that are set so that I can focus on peace and positivity and just be the best version of myself that I can be. And I'm grateful each and every day for God's goodness, and I try to start every day with gratitude. There's always something to be thankful for because God is good. Yeah, so that's my little share for today. MEPS check-in. How am I feeling mentally? I feel good. Clear. Emotionally, I'm happy. Physically, I feel good. I'm strong. And spiritually, I'm blessed. So, happy Sunday. Bye.